Hello everybody, and thank you for tuning into episode 23 to this gradient mesh tutorial. We are making some really good progress in this drawing, and we're about to start cleaning up the other eye layer, the right eye layer base that we've made in the last episode. And for the most part, like I said prior, it's really looking, I'd say, almost perfect. We just got to clean up some areas, such as this area could be improved a little bit. I don't really like this little splotch of darkness here, and they could be better blended vertically this way. Maybe this little change of color can be smoothened out, but I'd say that for the most part is the general extent of what corrections, other than maybe this spot, I have to make on this drawing. And then after I finish this blending, we can take our edges and we can start meshing it and blending it with our background layer here, our face layer. And once we lose these hard edges, then we can go to drawing the internal of the eye and really capturing that nice detail that's going to make this drawing pop and really come to life here. Alright, so I think this little dark spot can get a little bit better blended, and the way I'm blending it is I'm selecting these points and I'm either selecting color with the eyedropper left, right, up, or down of it, and what that is doing is selecting almost like a portion of the color that it is blending into and becoming more like that, like you're adding little droplets of color from the other point into another point. And that's almost allowing it to be a little bit smoother of a blend. And you can see what we just did to this one point. If I undo, look at the difference. Still have that little shade, but it's a lot smoother of a transition, and I think it looks a lot nicer. So I gotta fix this spot right down here. I don't really like how this shadow kind of rides all the way down. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this point and I'm gonna do my left, right technique. Because the grain is going from left to right, I want to blend up and down to go against the grain and to get rid of this harsh line. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to select the color to the left of it. Select the next point and select the left of it. Next point, and keep eyedropping to the left of each point across that entire line. And when you get to the end, do the same thing but in reverse. Go to the right of each point. And now we're just basically interlacing the tones of color between each anchor point to create one nicer smooth line and transition between all of them. Look at the difference between this blend and this blend right here. You can almost see where the gradient is creating these weird hash marks because it doesn't understand what tone to put there. So we're just gonna keep evening out this part of the eye over here until we get one nice smooth transition. I think I need to do it again. I'm gonna go to the left. Gonna do it one more time. We're gonna go to the right. All right, I'm gonna move to the next set of lines and I'm gonna go to the left of each point and go down the line. I'm just blending everything to the left and downward because I want it to blend a little bit better to the points down here. So I think that's definitely looking cleaner. I'm going to keep going down this line because I think this whole area can use a little bit more blending. You can really see how our shape right here, this black shape, really comes to a narrow fine point right here like we wanted to before. Looks really nice and looks like a really natural transition. Gonna go to this line and we're gonna do the right, left technique. So I don't really like this harsh transition between black, not black, dark tan and light tan. So I'm gonna actually go against the grain and then go left to right now. So I'm gonna start here and I'm gonna go to the right. Now I'm gonna go to the left. Move all my points to the right. I want it to be a little bit more dark. So that's looking pretty dang good, I think. I'm gonna fix this spot over here. I think this is a little silly. how the color is blending. I'm gonna go to the left now. I'm gonna go to the right. Okay, I think we just gotta clean up, if you ask me, this little spot right here. So you can see I'm having just a small little issue with this spot right here. It's kind of giving me some weird sectioned off look. So I'm gonna actually try and combine some more points together. Like I'm gonna grab these 4 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm gonna group color them upward. I'm gonna grab 1, 2, 3, 4, group color them upward. Seems like this line needs to be colored more up. I'm gonna grab these 4 again, upward color. The only thing is now I think they're all just a little too bright, so now I'm going to grab all 4 again, go up, all 4 again, go up, take these 4, go down. Just trying to get a little bit of that highlight in there. You can see here, see that little ball of highlight right here? I feel like that was a little bit of kind of important to get. So let me just shape it out a little bit more. And now I feel like I now have a little spot for that highlight. I think maybe I just gotta blend it, get it a little darker on the bottom and the top. But I think it looks pretty good. I think we're ready to start blending the eye layer we just finished smoothing out to the background base plate face layer that we have right here. So we're just going to start out at the top corner here, and I'm going to go across the edge, and I'm going to take the closest color that I see to the face, like that. So we're going to start trying to match the tone of the edge to the edge tone of the face layer. And that's going to be step 1 of being able to properly blend this layer here to the background and get it to be looking like one consistent shape. Alright, so as you can see, we're still going to have some problems after we just did that whole run around the edge. It does look a little bit better, but if we take a point, like let's say this one, and select the point that is right, the color that is right here, the color change from this color to the color that you select for here, which is about right here, is not the same and consistent between these two. Like it's not a consistent blend from, and also between these points that you have here, it's also influencing the color that's happening up here. So between the color below the points you're editing and the color that you're selecting above the points you're editing, it's not always going to be a perfect scenario on the edge. So sometimes we may need to add, let's say, extra points on the edge just to add more edge color like that. And you see that actually did a very big number into that area. Look, ready? That's before, after, before, after. Very big difference. So I'm just going to go around the edge and just add a few more edge points that I think I need to make this happen. Usually the edge points don't have much influence on the actual color within the shape of the mesh. So me, by selecting whatever color that is matching on the face layer, is really only going to give me a small amount of blend success. So it's really just the beginning stages of setting yourself up for a more proper blending of layers. Okay, so I think I added enough edge points for me to be successful here. But the problem is that I still see a lot of hard edges. So now what I need to do is I need to take my edge points that I just edited, take my edge points that I was just editing, and I need to drop them to 0% opacity or some sort of lower opacity that's going to allow me to see color through the bottom, through the top, and kind of look like one piece. It's going to create a feathered edge between the layer we're working on, the eye layer, and the base layer. I don't really want to feather with effects or like an eraser or something. I don't want to feather the gradient mesh shape like that, but I want to create it within the mesh itself mathematically, and by doing that we need to lower opacities on the edge points. And luckily with the mesh you can lower individual points and their opacities and their colors, and that's why it's so interesting of a tool and so interesting of a process, because you could do so much fine tuning to the color and the outcome of the mesh that it just gives you so much control over what you're doing. So it's really just like 3D modeling in a 2D space. It's very interesting. At least I think so. So if we're going to take our opacity with this 1 point and we're going to make it 0%, and we're going to do that around the entire edge pretty much, because I think that's what we're going to need to do in this case to get that smooth blend between face layer and eye layer. And you can see 0% opacity, beautiful feathered, and you can see how it comes out of the 0% opacity into the 100%, almost like a drop shadow. But it's really just merely the color blending with the layer. Look at that, beautiful blend, and it still gives you that shape, almost like those natural crevices of the face, like expression lines. We can always tweak them, but it's not bad to have a little bit of transition between points of interest like this eye and the background layer, which is a lot smoother, because we need to define her bone structure of her face, and by doing that shadows appear and lineage appears on the face. And these, although they are imaginary lines, they are there, and we can see them as humans. We can define where bones are and the face structure, and that's why fine art and drawing, just helps in general to see shapes and color and value and tonality and topography and layers and all these rules and elements that make up imagery are going to play a major role in drawing realistically when it comes to gradient mesh. I'm doing almost 1 point at a time sometimes, because I sometimes have trouble selecting multiple points and dropping opacities of multiple points at once, or if I change or if like 1 point is different opacity than the other and I change them to be, let's say like one of them is 50, one of them is 100, and I want them to be both 0. Sometimes I have issues changing both of those different variables to 0 at once. I'm not really sure what the deal is. I think it could just be because I'm working with mesh points, but sometimes I just typically go one at a time so I can see what's going on, because I'm really just trying to get a clean edge anyway, so I don't mind putting in the extra little work right here to fix the situation. And I'll show you how we still have like almost too hard of an edge here. I'll show you how we could fix that in a second. But I want to go around the entire edge first before I doing any finer detail like that, because those points are actually going to require adding more points to the mesh. But let me do the edge first, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so I'm just going to give it a quick save there, but I dropped the opacity to 0 on every single edge point, and there is a major difference from what we had before. Much smoother, but we still have slightly, some areas that we need some tweaking, especially areas such as, I just think some of these edges, maybe like right here or on the right side, and possibly on the top here, even though the eyebrow is going to be sitting there. Let me check where it's going to be. So it's not going to be sitting over here. So I need a little bit better blending over here. So what I'm going to do is now, instead of taking, I have these points in 0, and I don't want to be adding more points on the edge. The edge is not really going to get me any further. So what I need to do is I need to take the next point, the next line inside the mesh, and I'm going to drop them to 50%. So now I have opacity leading even further inside that shape. So it's going to give me even a more feathered, finer blend within the mesh. And I'm going to go around and I'm going to add it where I think I need it. I'm not going to do it everywhere. I don't want to lose all my detail, but I do want to have a much smoother transition from the edge with that 0 point to the middle of the mesh. And I think if it's still too hard, because if you could still see that line, you need to have further blending within the mesh. So this needs to be, you know, let's say 50. And you can see that line. I don't know where that line is coming from, but you really can't see it really at all when you zoom out. So I'm just gonna leave it right now. And by line, I'm talking about like by this. I'm gonna see what happens if I drop these to 50. I don't know, these might be too far inside the mesh. I actually might need to make more points. So that's 50%. Undo. I don't mind that, really. I'm going to add actually a point right here for this situation because I don't want to lose my detail in this black, and I need a better blending situation for the points to the right of the ones I'm clicking. So I'm going to add points right there, and then I'm going to drop these to 50 as well. Thinking that looks much better over there now. So let me keep going. Look at that beautiful edge right there. Almost non-existent edge. I still have a problem over here. I'm actually going to make this one 0. That was actually at 100%. This one's got to be 0. Oh, this was the new line I added. That's why. I'm going to go fix this area over here. I think I need to add a point in here so I can get that opacity down inside there. I want to be conscious of what points are being added because all new points added are going to be at 100% opacity. I think I'm actually going to drop these to 0% instead of 50 just because they're pretty close to the edge, and I think that's going to be enough. I might do 50 because I'm losing too much of my eye layer there, so let's do 50%. I'm going to make these 0 over here. And this one's 0. This one's also 0. I'm just going to pull these points out a little bit more like this. I'll show you. I didn't like the harsh line that's kind of happening here, and that's because of the color that is underneath and inside the face layer. So I'm going to pull these out to make that blend and that opacity transition a little bit smoother and elongated. And now I'm going to take my face layer because again I don't like this shadow that's sitting underneath my eye layer, and I'm going to kind of brighten it up a little bit. I'm going to just take these points, select a little bit brighter of a tone, and you can see that our colors are changing a little bit because we're now selecting color that is underneath our eye layer. And I might even want to add a point, I think, right here so I can get a little bit more specification to brightness over here because I think I need it. I'm going to lock my face layer, go back to my eye layer. I'm going to make these points a little bit brighter. I don't want them to be too dark over here. I think I'm losing kind of like the idea. I'm going to make this guy 50%. I might make some of these 50%. And you can now we're really working in a smoother transition there. And now I think it looks actually a lot nicer than before. I think we just need to do like one left and right run, blend run. And I think we could call it from there on this layer. I think this layer is looking pretty spot on. So this is actually going to be the eyebrow here, so I'm not going to worry about this harsh shadow that you kind of see, if you do see it. But other than that, I think I'm pretty happy with the look that I have right now. I'm really happy with what I see, and I think I'm ready to move on to fixing and drawing the actual inner part of her right eye and making this start to really look realistic. Just now I realized maybe based on the performance of that eye, I want to go back and take this eye and like drop the opacity of, let's say, these points to 50. But I'm gonna probably do a, see what I just did there? I'm probably gonna do like a touch-up episode, or see if I can, like an optional touch-up episode where I kind of just do a complete general look when I'm done, and I just might go back and fix things that may or may not need fixing. Like, honestly, like, most things aren't necessary when it comes to gradient mesh. If you could look at what I have right now and kind of judge what it might look like when it's done, it's going to be very here nor there depending on your taste and how critical you are of yourself, of what edits you might want to just clean up, or something you might want to clean up and just smoothen out, or like, it would be up to you. And I will have an episode where I just go back over my work and just make some clean touch-ups. But feel free to make touch-ups all throughout this tutorial, whether I'm doing it or not. Again, this is just a general basis and template of how you can get these results. Nothing is set in stone when I'm showing you. I am merely an outlet for you to see and understand of what is really going on behind the process and behind the scenes, and almost get a full idea of what someone drawing this may be thinking. Because it's almost like, what do I think, or what should I be asking myself when drawing these in complex grids and meshes? What am I looking for? And again, since I'm not perfect, I feel like me just completely showing you raw of what I'm experiencing and everything I need to do and everything I need to think to get to point A from point B is important to show you. And I really hope that this tutorial is working out well for you. And if not, please tell me in the comment section. Please like this video. Please subscribe if you're really digging them. If you're following along, I would really appreciate that subscribe. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. My name is Mark DiMattei. You can follow me on Instagram at markd_arts. That's Marked Arts. And I'll see you guys on the next one.